Hello and welcome to Ginger Prime. My name is Brian, and this is going to be a semi-guide regarding Fire Staff and Life Staff power leveling, but then it's going to transition mostly into a discussion regarding feedback as how magic works in the game New World. There's going to be a lot here. This is a semi-guide, mostly opinion video, so we'll jump right into the guide itself first for those of you who are looking to really get the most out of your magic experience in the safest and fastest way to level possible. So if you're a returning subscriber, what's up, Soul Nation? Thanks for coming and checking out this video. You know you got a big brain. That's your compliment for the video. That's what you get for subscribing. Free compliments with the videos. But welcome to New World. First, let's talk about magic. Fire Staff, Life Staff. That's the two ways that you can level up magic currently in the New World preview. As far as it goes, right now, Fire Staff is going to be your best and safest bet, namely because of the flamethrower ability. When you're playing, the fastest way to power level your casters, unfortunately, is to begin with a melee weapon. You want to weaken the enemies as quickly as possible. This actually ends up being the safest way possible, but because you can actually swap your weapon to a caster weapon, then you want to switch over to fire or essentially your life staff if you're leveling up healing to finish them off with a final blow. The opinion piece comes in is right now the issue with whether you're playing on controller or keyboard and mouse with magic. While I do appreciate the focus, while I do appreciate the skill level involved, I hope that we can find a balance for that skill level with magic. It ends up being acting as a melee, except for the fact that you're weaker. So maybe equip a staff and some heavy armor to help reduce your defense, but it's easier to hit the target when they're hitting you right up close in your face, and thus instead of taking that risk to your life, weaken them with the sword, weaken them with any physical melee, and then that last blow is where the experience is going to be applied to which weapon. And I've tested this out multiple ways with multiple different groups, like is it a reduced amount of experience? Turns out it's not. You actually get plenty of experience for doing the swap. It just matters how you finish your enemy is where that weapon experience is going to apply. So this is a solo kind of concept. So if you're solo, start with melee, finish with magic. If you're in a group, you want to have anything that's AoE. You want to be able to hit those targets any way possible. And if somebody is standing in front of you or between you and the enemy, you might accidentally hit them and it won't register the hit on the enemy, and thus you won't get experience for the kill when the enemy eventually falls down to the ground dead, etc. And so that's why I recommend Flamethrower, and that's where I recommend Meteor Shower. This is kind of AoE style effects, and Flamethrower has a relatively short cooldown of 8 seconds. It's going to drain your mana really quickly, but essentially as long as you have plenty of mana, you'll be able to get plenty of cast off of this, and it's going to damage a wide range of enemies. So if there's big pools, lots of action going on, this is going to be your best bet because it is portable, allowing you to move to and fro and getting those kills. I recommend speccing it with at least 25% increase and the 50% increase in range. This will end up having it to where you can easily get as many targets in as possible, and then when those kills happen, you're going to get that experience and level it up that way. On the life staff perspective, you're going to want to sit here and not really have a lot of focus here. If you want to go in Life Stealer, this is okay, but it still ends up being easier to use Fire Staff. It's all about trying to get that hit register with magic casting in this game. So again, I recommend if you're playing solo, start with a sword, start with a melee, and then switch to your staff and finish them off with an attack. And that's the guide. And that's ultimately will probably bring the conclusion that there's definitely a lot of work that needs to happen in terms of magic in the world of New World, and that's where this is going to shift from this is what I'm doing to level up these weapons, this skill safely, into what really needs to happen. Now, whether you play on controller or mouse and keyboard, personally for me, I do controller, and I've seen a couple of my guides, people are asking like, hey, can you put together a controller spec? The link's in the description if you guys want to see how to configure your controller to be able to play the New World game itself. But beyond that other video, I can tell you hands down, there's two things that are happening here. First things first, there's a precision thing, and I hear everybody out there who wants that level of skill, and I actually side with that. Like, there tends to be something where I'm thinking there just needs to be maybe a little bit of more AoE splash damage. There just needs to be a little bit, slight touch of magnetism to the skill itself. I don't need to be, facing 90 degrees and have it hit the target. I don't want that whatsoever. But when I am like just centimeters off, you're gonna miss. And I can't tell if that's a bug. I can't tell if that's something, just the fact that I miss because I'm using a controller. I've done it both ways, both on keyboard and mouse and with a controller. I can tell you I am way more accurate on keyboard and mouse. So maybe as a pro tip, if you're trying to level a caster, maybe don't use a controller right now. But all in all, like, I'm able to do it. I just end up having the enemies eat my face while I'm just kind of casting and attacking. And it ends up being more risky, and I end up having more downtime. And downtime's the ultimate weakness here. That's the ultimate punishment that the game gives you, is that running time back to where you camped or at a settlement or something like that. So the other thought here is, like, when we look here at the healer, obviously I shifted over to the fire staff because fire staff is way easier to get the hit registration on, especially early on in the game. Healing as far as it goes, I'm pretty interested and excited about the support class. What I need to see here is just a little bit more, at least maybe even a manual attack. If an enemy is that close to me, I'm still casting my wand both for healing and for fire instead of whacking them or hitting them with it. And maybe that's something that could kind of change or kind of have an impact where you could kind of have some kind of strong hit to knock them back, as opposed, and that way you can kind of try and play a ranged game. The other side of the feedback comes into the form where, as I'm playing, when obviously somebody hits or stands in front of me, I like that physicality. I like that positioning has an impact. I think that's important, both from a tanking if somebody wanted to get in front of something that was trying to hit me, but how can we as a team position ourselves different with magic? And I think it would be great to have some kind of spells with from a magical perspective that weren't line of sight from your weapon right to the target, but maybe some, like, when I think of thunder, something coming down from the sky, or something that had a little bit of a curvature to it. That way it can kind of work its way around. And that's kind of where, back to my original thought, was some kind of AoE splash damage that occurred with the attack, and maybe that splash damage was would weaken itself as it progressed further from the target. So if I hit my ally who wouldn't take any damage, there'd be a little bit of a splash, and after 1 meter, it became 25% less, 2 meters, 50% less, 3 meters, 75% less, but even still being able to put out like 1 damage on the target itself. That would help register and at least give me some experience to the overall fight and make it less of a scramble when trying to use it. I've played around with some of the spells. As you can see here, I got plenty more to level, and so I'm going to keep using the method that I showed off at the beginning of this video, so that way I can keep getting this experience, so I can keep pulling it in and trying to level all of these skills up and give you guys a really healthy look at what it looks like if having a leveled out healer, a leveled out fire caster as well. Personally, I'm excited to see what other elements and what other skill trees and weapons they bring into the game itself, but that's my focus feedback, and that's the guide itself. There's a lot that we have to play around with when it comes to the world of New World. And so let me know if you have any questions about this. Let me know if you have any feedback or you completely disagree. Any and all comments are welcome below. I'm going to take this video and apply it to feedback written up on the forums and see where that conversation goes. Hopefully the devs are having it, being safe, but I'm really enjoying this game. Like, this isn't a knock on the game. I'm really glad that they've put this together. I'm really glad we have this preview and we can have this conversation, and I look forward to having more with you guys here in the future. Anyway, that wraps it up for me. If this video should be actually, right at the time where they might be trying to throw a mid-roll at you, but I want to say thanks to all my members for keeping mid-rolls off this channel. You guys make it possible, so their names are here on the left or right-hand side of the video. So be sure to thank a member, maybe consider becoming one, or if you're looking for more New World content, we have a New World podcast over on Ginger Gaming Radio. Link will be in the description. Thanks everybody for watching, listening, and taking time out of your day to make me a part of yours. Anyway, I love you. Love your faces. Hope to see you in my next video. But until then, take care.